One of the nice things about my setup here is that I got tired of miking up drum kits for every session. And so do bands. Bands get tired of waiting around for the engineer to mic up a drum kit for 2 hours while the band's ready to rock. They're losing their energy and their enthusiasm waiting for that process. So what I would do is I'd have the drummer arrive earlier than the band, start the session with the drummer a couple hours ahead of time, and that way he and I can work with the drum kit before the band even gets there. He can set it up exactly how he wants. That's what I let them do first. Typically off the clock, I'll let the drummer come in and set up his drum kit the way he wants. And then when he's got it just so, I'll come in and start miking it up, and that's when I start the studio clock. But let the drummer get comfortable. He's lugging a lot of gear and maybe bringing it a long way. I love working with drummers. They're typically really solid people, and they've got a huge responsibility in the studio. So let them get comfortable in the booth. I really like making those guys feel comfortable because so much rides on their performance, you know. Yeah, I got tired of all that process. So what I've done here is I've just set this drum kit up, mic'd it up. I even have the mixing board set up so all the preamps are at the right level. It's all pretty much dialed in so that all I have to do is when the drummer steps into the booth, I pull up the faders on the mixing board for the drum kit, and I arm the tracks in the DAW, and right away I've got a good, excellent drum sound, 5 minutes without the need to mic up or break down a drum kit every time. Sure, I get drummers that want to use their own kit. We do that all the time, and so I have to allow myself some time to break down this room and this kit, and then get ready for him to bring in his kit, and then go through that process again. But you do need to charge extra for that, or make out an arrangement for that with your drummer if they want to do that. 9 times out of 10, I say I've got a kit mic'd up and ready to go. It's an old Ludwig kit, and guys are happy. They might make little adjustments with the hi-hat or the snare, or maybe bring in their own cymbals. That happens a lot, or their cymbals and their snare, but they're okay with my tom-toms and my kick drum. They're happy not to have to lug their equipment to the recording studio. Give them a break. They can come in here, bring their sticks, and go. I know one guy that doesn't even adjust anything. He just kind of adapts to the way that I play, and he loves being able to step in here and not have to bring anything. I've even got sticks. He doesn't have to do that either. So he just comes in, and he's a drummer, not a roadie. Over here, you might have noticed I've got a nice little trash can filled with sticks, brushes, mallets. These are all stuff that you want to invest in as part of your studio investment. Even if you're not a drummer. As you saw, I've got brushes. I love these guys. These are called Blastics. These are actually called hot rods, excuse me. I call them Blastics, but these are hot rods. I think they're made of some kind of bamboo or flexible wood. They're a cross between the drumstick and a brush. They're really a nice in-between. They've got a softer attack, but you still get some power and cut with them. Brushes are just so light and delicate. These are really nice. Be careful not to jam your hand on one in there. I've seen a guy do that. He injured himself, he punctured himself in the hand with one of those little rods. And he experienced pain and problems with that for months or even a year. My friend Tim, sorry about that, Tim, but I learned to keep these stored pointing down, because if you're in a quick move to grab a stick and you puncture yourself on that, you're in for a world of pain. Something about I don't know, maybe you just got infected, but it was nasty. Anyway, keep those face down in your bucket. A safety tip, drummer safety tip. These guys also, I think these are the Blastics. Yeah, they're made of plastic, and you can see they've taken a beating. These are kind of a step down from the hot rods and a step up from brushes. They have a little more attack and power than traditional brushes, but they're brushes nonetheless. Don't use these too much anymore, but they're still in my arsenal there. And just a bunch of different sticks. I've got a combination of nylon tip sticks, wooden tip sticks, different shapes and sizes, from thin sticks like this to, big beaters like that. These are 5Bs, more of a John Bonham kind of thing. And a lot of guys will flip those around and use the butts of sticks with their really heavy hitters. And that's where you got to put on your helmet and stuff like that. If they flip those sticks around, watch out, guys. It's about to get loud. Anyway, get yourself a nice little can. There's also something that mounts on the side of a floor tom, a little bag that you can roll up and take with you on the gig. That's nice too, but I just throw everything in a little trash can. That way if guys forget their sticks, I've got some. I give drum lessons as well, and when I get drummers coming in for the first time, I buy packages of these. They're good sticks, they're not cheap. These are Vic First sticks, but usually you get a pretty good price on a package. You get a pair or two for free. A 5B is a pretty good starter size, wooden tips, and I'll give those to my drum students for the first time, and that's usually their first pair of drumsticks, so kind of a nice touch. And a tax deduction. And don't forget, like I said, your mallets. Timpani mallets, basically, you can use them for snare or for cymbals. Gotta have them, gotta have them. Get yourself a pair of those. These are also Vic Firth. So I guess Vic Firth is my stick company. And here's my nylon tip 5Bs. Those are usually the ones that I like to use. This is moon gel. These little containers contain something called moon gel. It's a little sticky. It feels like Jell-O with little adhesiveness to it. It doesn't melt or taste like Jell-O, but you can drop those on your drums and they stick really nicely, usually around the edge of the drum like that, to get rid of some of that ring. Also on tom-toms, you want to get yourself a little package of moon gel. You can get them from any drum shop or on Amazon, and just drop those around the edge. You can do 2 or 3 or 4 of them if you want to really get rid of all the overtones of that drum. It doesn't completely kill the sound of the drum or the ring. It's a really nice thing to have in your gig bag. So get yourself a moon gel. You can have all kinds of funny jokes with it too. They should just call it drum snot, you know. Something else that's kind of a must-have in the studio are these guys. They're plastic rings. I call them Ritchie rings. I think the original name was a Ritchie ring. And all they are is a little piece of plastic. I think they're actually probably originally made from just old drum heads. Somebody cut out the middle. And it's thin plastic, and you just put it on. They come in different sizes, and you want to get them for the size of each drum, like that. And they just cut down all of the ring. You can hear the difference. That's without, even with some moon gel on there, and that's with. It cuts out all that ring, and all you get is that middle tom-tom, that mid-range tom-tom. Not a lot of presence to the drum, not a lot of crispness, but for a lot of work, you want that. You just want a really flat sounding drum. I'll use them on the snare as well. Let's see if I've got a snare drum mic. They come in different thicknesses too. Not the thickness this way, but the thickness this way. And the thicker, the deader. Put that on there like that. And that'll turn your ringy snare into more of a dry pop snare, if that makes any sense. Think Fleetwood Mac, Beatles, stuff like that. Anyway, and depending on your drum kit, you want to get one for each of your different drums. I've even got them for the big floor tom-tom over here. You want to get them in a few different sizes for other drum kits that may come in as well. You can kind of collect them. Anyway, get yourself some of those going, especially for your snare and your couple tom-toms that you have. Another thing I see guys do is they'll actually take a towel or a pillowcase or some kind of cloth and just drop it over the drum or the snare. That, of course, completely deadens the drum. That you're going to get a real Ringo Starr sound like that. They did it a lot back in the Sgt. Pepper's days. They would put little tea cloths on the snare drum to get that thwack without any kind of overtone or ring. They just wanted that thwack right in the middle. So, but you won't get any kind of an overtone or presence from that drum if you do that. So Those are kind of all the extremes, from no dampening to moon gels to rings to towels and blankets. A lot of old drums have an internal mount, which is also available if you want. It's kind of cool. There's a little felt pad in there that rotates on and off. It also brings the pitch up just a bit. I don't use those, but those are the old school ones that came right in the drum. Kind of cool, very retro. And here's just a little close-up of the dampener that I use for that. I rarely use these, but they're there if you needed a third way to, if you can see it or not. We talk really briefly about drum thrones or drum seats like the one I'm obviously sitting on. It's important to have a comfortable drum throne. This one I've had forever. It looks like hell, and I've got it covered with duct tape and towels and stuff because it's weathered away over the years, but it's super comfortable. It pivots, you can adjust the height. You want to have a decent quality drum throne, for your drummers, and guys will typically bring their own. There's some really nice ones with a drum back, to get a little back support, a little lumbar support, as well as a hydraulic handle. You can spend lots of money on those if you want, or just get yourself a basic one. Some of the old ones were really funny. They didn't adjust in height, but you can open them up and have a storage area in there for your sticks. So it was like a little suitcase. Anyway, gotta have a good drum throne in the studio. I don't want to get too much into this, but there's one big advantage of buying this package from Audix, is that in addition to getting a collection of drum microphones, you're also getting microphones that can be used in other situations. They're not just for drums. Some guys will think these are just for drums, but I use them for all kinds of other stuff as well. Particularly these guys right here, they give you 3 of these beautiful, high quality condenser microphones. The thing about the drum mics is that you're probably not going to be overdubbing when you're doing your drums. You're going to record your drums when you're first starting with your bass, your guitars, your rhythm section, to capture your rhythm, your foundation. And then you're done with them. The mics are going to sit in a dark room until the next drummer comes in. But then you go on to an overdubbing stage where you're going to be doing other things like vocals, background vocals, percussion, horns, strings, leads. These mics are available. You know, you can go in and pull them off your stands, and you've got a nice, you've just expanded your mic locker by 6 or 7 or 8 microphones. These guys in particular are nice for a matched pair. You can use a pair of these for percussion, tambourines, triangles, cabasas, shakers, all that kind of light stuff. You can use them if you've got an a cappella choir. You can use them as a vocal microphone. You can use them on just about anything. They're a very good quality microphone. They've got a very very large dynamic range. I think they go up to 20K. I think they go down to 30. I got to check on that, but really nice, especially without using that low roll-off or anything like that. Great microphone. I was going to get a pair of Shure SM81s. I've used those for years, especially on overheads. Those are a standard overhead microphone to use for drums. I didn't. I realized I had 3 of these already, and that I would rather spend my money on something besides more overhead microphones. And I looked at the specs, and I realized that these are very similar to the Shure SM81s, and I didn't have to spend any more money. I've got 3 of them already. Like I said, they look great. They sound great. I take them in the field all the time when I'm doing video shoots. I'll take all 3 of them and use those on everything. They're fantastic. Just remember, you've got to have phantom power for them. So keep in mind that'll drain your video batteries a little bit quicker. Brilliant microphone. And also, in addition to those, don't forget, you've got your tom-tom microphones. You've got 3 of these guys as well that aren't being used. I use these all the time on overdubs. Yeah, for a horn section, having 3 of these on a sax, a trumpet, a trombone, they're great for horns. You can use these on percussion. Put these on a pair of congas or timbales or anything like that. They're they're just perfect for that kind of thing. They're small, they're out of the way. You can mount 2 of these on one stand if you've got the right kind of a clip. Another thing I'll do for percussion is either have a matched pair of these on top, or if I've got a hand drum like a doumbek or a djembe or anything big like that, an African talking drum, even a tabla, a pair of tablas, I'll put one of these on top and another one down below inside the drum to get that nice low-end bass response. So you're miking both sides of the drum, the top and the bottom. Just make sure you drop that bottom mic out of phase so that you don't lose all that nice low-end response from phase cancellation. Anyway, these are really nice for that kind of application.